Welcome to the Care Clinic Pod. I'm Emma, and this is Jones.
Ever feel like, just kind of held together by like duct tape and hope?
Uh-huh.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reality for people dealing with Ehlers-Danlos syndromes.
EDS.
Exactly.
Mhm.
EDS. It's way more common than people think. And it all comes down to how your body makes, wait for it, collagen.
And I'm sure some of our listeners are thinking, wait, like the beauty stuff.
Right.
But we're talking about the protein, the real deal that literally holds your joints, your skin, even your organs all in place.
So imagine your body's instruction manual for making this like essential collagen is full of typos, like just riddled with errors. That's EDS.
Yeah, and the result, joints that pop out way too easily.
Which, okay, being double jointed might seem cool.
You'd think, right?
But we're talking about super stretchy skin and, let's be real, pain. Lots and lots of pain.
And it's not just the physical stuff. Imagine living with that every single day. It takes a toll on your mental health, your work, relationships, everything. We're talking chronic pain that just like seeps into every aspect of your life.
It's so true. So today we're diving deep, deep, deep into EDS pain.
We're going all the way down.
All the way. We'll unpack what causes it, the different ways it rears its ugly head, and the most important part, how you can manage it to live your best life. Because trust us, their eye is hope.
Oh, absolutely. There are definitely ways to feel better. And what's fascinating about EDS pain is that it's not like a one-size-fits-all.
Well, tell me about it.
Your pain could be totally different from someone else's, even if you both have EDS.
Exactly. And that's because EDS isn't just one condition. It's a whole bunch of genetic disorders, each with their own little quirks, especially when it comes to pain.
Right. And that's where things get super interesting, at least from a medical standpoint. Our sources highlight two of the most common types. Hypermobile EDS, where your joints are basically like
loosey-goosey?
Worse.
Yeah.
And classical EDS, which often involves that stretchy, fragile skin we talked about.
Okay, so picture this. You're at the doctor, right? And they bend your thumb back to touch your wrist.
Impressive for most.
Right. But for someone with hypermobile EDS, that's like Tuesday.
Exactly. Their joints can move way past their normal range, which again might sound cool, but
Sounds like a party trick.
in reality, it puts so much stress on their bodies.
It's like having a car where the steering wheel is like way too loose. You have to turn it a mile just to go around the block.
And something's going to break eventually.
Exactly. And that breakdown, my friends, that's where the pain comes in. Your muscles and ligaments are working overtime, constantly trying to make up for those unstable joints.
Leading to fatigue, inflammation, and eventually
Sonic pain city.
population. And one of the articles even mentioned how this constant strain on your joints, it can lead to injuries.
Oh, like what?
Dislocations, subluxations.
Sublux what now?
It's basically a fancy way of saying partial dislocation.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch is right. It can be incredibly painful. And the type of pain can be different too, depending on the type of EDS. Someone with hypermobile EDS might feel like sharp stabbing pains, especially when they move.
Makes sense.
While someone with classical EDS might have more of a dull, achy pain that's like spread out more.
So it really is a different beast for everyone.
Exactly. And that's why figuring out your specific EDS type is so important. It's literally the key to figuring out how to manage your pain. You wouldn't treat a sprained ankle the same way you'd treat like a broken leg, right?
No way.
Exactly. And that's where having a good healthcare team who understands EDS is so crucial. They can help you create a treatment plan that actually addresses your needs, your specific needs, and helps you get control over your body again.
Because it can feel like you're just along for the ride sometimes, But it's not just about popping pills, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our sources talked about a whole bunch of different approaches to managing EDS pain.
Oh, yeah, totally. From physical therapy to like mindfulness techniques, even. We're going to get into all of that.
We've got a lot to unpack.
We do. We'll explore the different options for finding relief, from those non-pharmacological approaches like physical therapy and stress management to medications that can help you manage those really tough pain flare-ups.
So stick with us.
Yeah.
All right, so before we jumped into all the nitty-gritty of EDS pain management,
We were getting deep.
we were, weren't we?
Yeah.
But I think it's super important to start with, like, the stuff you can do without having to take a pill, right?
Oh, absolutely. Love that approach. We're all about empowering you to really take charge of your health. And honestly, one of the biggest things you can do is physical therapy.
Okay, but let's be real for a sec. When we say physical therapy, we're not talking about, like, hitting the gym hardcore.
No. Definitely not your average gym routine. Because if your joints are basically held together with good vibes and hope,
And prayers. Don't forget
You
the
go.
prayers.
Right. Slamming it at the gym is probably not going to end well.
Probably not the best idea.
It's all about working smarter, not harder. And that means exercises that strengthen those muscles that are trying so hard to support your, shall we say, flexible joints.
Yeah, it's like giving your body its own internal scaffolding to hold everything together.
Right, you got it. And a big part of that is improving this thing called proprioception.
Proprio it now.
Proprioception. It's basically your body's awareness of where it is in space. Like, when you close your eyes and you can still touch your nose.
Oh, yeah. I can totally do that most of the time. But how does that help with EDS pain?
Well, when your joints are super hypermobile, your brain can get a little confused about where everything is actually supposed to be, and that just throws more fuel on the fire, leading to even more instability and, more pain.
So these exercises are kind of like retraining your brain to understand your body's limits.
Exactly. You're teaching it to recognize those boundaries again.
Smart.
Think low-impact activities like swimming, Pilates, even Tai Chi.
I love Tai Chi.
Yeah. It's great. They all help to improve your balance, your coordination, and that muscle strength without putting tons of stress on your joints.
So gentle movements, but with a big impact on those pain levels.
I like it.
What else you got?
Okay, another game changer when it comes to managing EDS pain, stress management.
Because when you're in pain, it's easy to spiral, right?
Yeah.
The stress just makes the pain worse. And then the worse the pain is, the more stressed you get. Ugh, it's a vicious cycle.
You're preaching to the choir here, but there's actually real science behind this.
Oh,
Chronic stress, it cranks up the volume on those pain signals in your brain. It's like turning up the volume on a song you already hate.
the worst. So what can you do about it?
Yeah.
Asking for a friend, obviously.
Besides hiding under a weighted blanket with a pint of ice cream.
Hey, don't judge my coping mechanisms.
Hey, no judgment here. We all have our ways. But to really tackle this, the key is to work some relaxation techniques into your daily routine. We're talking things like meditation, deep breathing exercises, even just spending some time in nature.
Okay, those all sound pretty doable, even for us non-yoga types.
Exactly. And you know what? The Care Clinic app, it actually has guided meditations that are specifically designed for pain management.
Oh, snap. That's
You've got a whole library of stress-busting tools right in your pocket.
Love it. Okay, so we've got physical therapy to strengthen our amazing bodies, check. We've got mindfulness to chill out our brains, double check. And we've got this awesome app to keep us on track, triple check. But what about those times when the pain is just really, really bad, like ibuprofen just isn't cutting it?
Yeah, that's where medication comes in because sometimes you just need a break,
Sometimes your body just needs a timeout.
Exactly. And in those cases, your doctor might suggest some over-the-counter pain relievers.
Like your classic ibuprofen or naproxen.
Exactly. They can be really helpful, especially when you're dealing with inflammation flare-ups. But it's really important to remember that these aren't meant to be like a long-term solution.
Yeah, because they can come with some pretty not fun side effects, especially if you're popping them like candy. Not that I've ever done that.
Of course not. But seriously, that's why it's so important to talk to your doctor about both the risks and the benefits before you start taking any new medication, even over-the-counter ones.
Safety first, folks.
Always.
So what about the stronger stuff? Like when ibuprofen is just not cutting it, what's next?
Well, for more severe pain, your doctor might consider prescribing some stronger medications.
Like what kind of stuff are we talking about here?
Things like muscle relaxants, maybe even low-dose naltrexone.
Wait, really?
Oh.
Naltrexone. Is that usually used for addiction?
It is, yeah. It's pretty interesting, actually. It's thought to help with pain by messing with those pain signals in the brain. But again, it's super important to have an open and honest convo with your doctor about any potential risks and benefits before you start taking anything.
Because every person with EDS is different.
Totally. What works for one person might not work for another at all.
It's like finding the perfect pair of jeans. Sometimes it takes a little trial and error, but once you find the right fit, magic.
Love that analogy. And speaking of finding the right fit, having a healthcare team that really truly understands EDS can make all the difference in the world.
For real.
They can be your allies, helping you navigate all those different treatment options and creating a plan that actually addresses your needs,
Like a personalized EDS survival guide.
Exactly.
I love it. So we've got our A-team assembled. We're working on strengthening our bodies and our minds, and we've got our trusty medication for those extra tough days. But there's one more thing, right?
What's that?
Self-advocacy. Because let's be real, you are your own best advocate. It's so important to speak up, ask all the questions, and do your research. Don't be afraid to be like, hey, doc, what about this?
100%. And that's where tracking your EDS journey can be so, so helpful.
Because EDS can be all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Symptoms changing, good days, bad days, keeping it all straight can be a job in itself.
It's true. Imagine having a digital journal where you can keep track of absolutely everything: your symptoms, pain levels, any medications you're taking, even how well different therapies are working on you. You can track your mood, sleep, literally any other factors that might be influencing your pain.
That's amazing. You're talking about data, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
And you can share that data with your doctor so you can have much more informed conversations about your treatment plan. It's all right there.
Exactly. And that's where, you guessed it, the Care Clinic app can be a total game changer. It puts all that power, all that information, literally right in your hands.
It's like having a personal assistant for your health, helping you stay organized, track your progress, and advocate for your needs.
I love that. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here. Physical therapy, mindfulness, medications, tracking all those symptoms, finding the right healthcare team. It's a lot, right?
It can feel overwhelming, absolutely. But remember, you don't have to do it all at once. And you definitely don't have to do it alone.
That is so important to remember. You're not alone. Not at all. And that's where connecting with others who truly understand what you're going through can be so incredibly powerful.
100%. Support groups, online communities, whatever works for you. Knowing that you're not alone in this journey can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. And we'll be sure to link to some helpful resources in the show notes.
Awesome. All right, so we've talked about all the amazing ways you can manage EDS pain, from physical therapy to mindfulness, medications, and even the power of finding your EDS tribe. But there's one more thing we need to touch on, something that can sometimes get a little overlooked.
Uh-oh, what did we miss?
Don't worry, we haven't missed anything. But you know how EDS can be a bit of a chameleon, right? There's some other conditions that can sometimes get tangled up with it.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. And one of those conditions that our sources talked about, and I think it's really important for everyone listening to know about, is something called MCAS.
Now that is a mouthful. MCS. Tell us more. Now that is a mouthful. MCS. Tell us more.
Right. So MCAS, it stands for Mast Cell Activation Syndrome.
Oh, right.
Basically, you know how your mast cells are like the little guard dogs of your immune system?
Yeah, always on the lookout for trouble.
Exactly. But with MCAS, it's like they're a little too good at their job. Like they're working on a hair trigger, going off all the time, even when there's no real threat.
So instead of protecting you, they're kind of freaking out, causing more problems.
You got it. And when they freak out, they release all these inflammatory chemicals into your body.
Yeah.
And those chemicals, well, they can cause a whole bunch of symptoms, including, you guessed it, pain.
Okay, hold on. So you're saying that some people with EDS might actually have undiagnosed MCAS on top of everything else, and that could be a big reason why they're in so much pain.
It's definitely a possibility. And it's something that, honestly, researchers are still trying to figure out. Like the research we looked at, they all emphasize that we need more studies on this connection. But it's definitely something to keep on your radar, especially if you're doing everything right, like you're following your treatment plan, but your pain just isn't budging.
So it's like being your own health detective.
Right.
If something feels off, if you're not getting the relief you should be, you've got to talk to your doctor. Be your own best advocate.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask specifically about MC, especially if you're noticing other symptoms on top of the pain. Like maybe you're super fatigued, or you've got some weird skin issues going on, or even digestive problems.
It's all connected.
Right.
Knowledge is power, people. The more you know about EDS and all the things that can come along with it, the better you'll be at getting the right treatment.
Couldn't agree more.
And speaking of getting the right treatment, what are some resources that our listeners can check out if they're like, okay, I need to learn more, I need to connect with people? What do you recommend?
Oh, there are some fantastic organizations out there doing great work. The Ehlers-Danlos Society is a great one.
Yeah.
They've got a ton of reliable information, and they can connect you with support groups and other people who really get it, you know.
Because nobody wants to feel like they're going through this alone.
Exactly. You're not alone.
And don't forget about all the amazing tools and resources we have right here at Care Clinic.
Oh, yeah. The Care Clinic app can be a lifesaver. It can help you keep track of all those symptoms, log any potential triggers you're noticing, like does eating a certain food make your symptoms worse? Track it. Does stress send you into a pain flare? Log it.
And then you've got all that info organized and ready to share with your doctor so you can make a plan together.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into EDS pain.
I had a great time.
Me too. This was an important one. EDS is a complex condition, there's no doubt about it, but it doesn't have to rule your life. With the right knowledge, the right team in your corner, and a good dose of self-advocacy.
You've got this.
Yes, you do. You can manage your pain and live your life, a full life. So to all our amazing listeners out there, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. And until next time, take care of yourselves.